Hello students, my name is Bhamini. I hope you are doing great. Today we are going to study chapter number 1 of class 9th science NCERT textbook, that is matter and our surroundings. So let's start our today's session with a basic question. What is matter? Everything in this universe is made up of material which scientists have named matter. The air we breathe, the air we breathe, the food we eat, stones, stars, clouds, plants and animals, even a small droplet of water or particle of sand. Everything is matter. We can also see as we look around that all the things mentioned above occupy space and have mass. So, matter is everything that has mass and takes up space. That is, they have both mass and volume. Now let's study about the states of matter. So generally there are three states of matter: solid, liquid and gaseous. Solid state is that have a constant shape and a constant volume. Liquid state is that is they have the shape of the container. In whatever it is kept, they take the shape of that container itself. It has free surface, means the particles are free to move wherever they want, and they have a constant volume. Then gaseous, they also take the shape of the container, and plus the volume is also of the container in which they are kept. Now comes the changes of state. So the question here is, are these states of matter interchangeable? Yes, they are interconvertible. That is, solids can be converted to liquid, or liquids can be converted to solids, liquids can be converted to gas can be converted to liquid, solid can be converted to gas, and gas can be converted to solid. But it is changed by changing temperature or by changing the pressure. Now let's see some terminologies of conversion, that how can these molecules or these states be interconvertible. First, if we want to convert solid from liquid, that it undergoes fusion. Through fusion, the solids can be converted into liquids. Liquids can be converted into solids through solidification. If we solidify the water, it becomes ice. That is solidification. If we heat or if we keep that ice in room temperature, it melts. That is fusion. Then liquid through vaporization can be converted into vapors. That is the gas. And gas on condensation can be converted again into liquid. Solid can be converted to gas through the process of sublimation, and vice versa without going through the liquid state. So these are the certain terminologies which help in the conversion of states. Now, what is matter made up of? Matter is made up of tiny particles which are called as atoms. Now, particles. Let's see the characteristics of these particles. First characteristic is the particles have space between them. So as if we can take an example, that if we put sugar in water or salt in water and we stir it well, so that salt or sugar will mix with water. That means the salt or sugar particles will be mixed in the water, will take up the space, a little space inside the water. So the particles of water are having space inside them, which allows the salt or sugar particles to mix in it. Then the particles are continuously moving. We can say that the particles of matter are continuously moving. That is, they possess the kinetic energy. As the temperature rises, the particles move faster. with rise in temperature. So first we can say that the particles of matter are continuously moving because they possess kinetic energy. Due to this kinetic energy allows the particles to move continuously. Then particles move faster with rise in temperature. As the temperature rises, the particles move faster. So we can say that if there is increase in temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles also increases. So this leads to move the particles move faster and move continuously. And last property is that they attract each other. Particles of matter have force acting between them, and this force keeps the particles together. And the strength of this force of attraction varies from one kind of matter to another. So these are the characteristics of particles. Now let's study particle behavior in different states. Let's study that how these particles behave in different states. So first, if we see, the arrangement of particles in solid is orderly, that they are orderly arranged. Then they have the greatest force of attraction, and they have least space inside them, and so that's why they have least kinetic energy, because they have least space, so the particles cannot move continuously, and so that's why the kinetic energy will be least, and so change resist, means it do not lead to more changes. Then comes the liquid. Liquids have slip and slide arrangement. Their force of attraction is medium, and the space inside them is also medium. So therefore kinetic energy is also medium, and they take the shape of the container. So that's why change in them means whatever container they are kept, they take the shape of that container itself. Then comes the gaseous state. In gases, the arrangement is random. However, they are free to move wherever they want to move. So their force of attraction is least. They can't attract each other easily. So the space is also least, and that's why the kinetic energy is maximum, because the particles are allowed to move continuously because of more space, and that's why the change is also least. Now, effects of temperature on particles. So as we know that on increasing the temperature of solids, the kinetic energy of the particles increases, and due to the increase in kinetic energy, the particles start vibrating. They start moving with greater speed, and the energy supplied by heat overcomes the forces of attraction between the particles, and so whatever energy is supplied, this overcomes the forces of attraction, and the particles leave their fixed positions and start moving more freely. So then their fixed position, whatever position they are kept, it changes. They are able to move freely in what we can say, they are able to, or they are allowed to move freely in whichever direction they want to. So as we can see in the figure given, that solids when heated, that is when their temperature is increased, that time they become liquid, turn into liquid. That is their space becomes larger, and their kinetic energy also increases. And we decrease the temperature of liquids, that is when they are cooled, they become solid, that is their space becomes less, and their forces of attraction increases, which decreases their kinetic energy. In a similar manner, if liquids are heated, that is if we increase the temperature of liquids, they are turned into gas, they are converted into gaseous form. That means again their kinetic energy is increased due to the increase in temperature, so they are more free to move by themselves. And if the temperature of gases are decreased, then that is when they are cooled down, they are converted into liquids, they turn into liquids. So due to this, decrease in temperature means decrease in kinetic energy. And if we see of solids, if solids are heated, that is if the temperature of solids is increased, means there is an increase in kinetic energy which leads to the conversion to gas. And if the gases are cooled down and they are converted directly into solids, means their temperature is decreased. Similar way, the kinetic energy also decreases, means they are not free to move here and there. Just one thing you have to keep it in mind, or just one thing you have to remember is, if there is increase in temperature, the kinetic energy increases, which leads to the movement of particles continuously and faster. If temperature is decreased, means kinetic energy also decreases, which leads to the movement of particles little bit slower and not continuous. It is non-continuous. Now let's study about melting point. Melting point is the minimum temperature at which a solid melts to become a liquid at the atmospheric pressure. Temperature at which a solid melts to become a liquid at atmospheric pressure is known as the melting point. Then comes the latent heat of fusion. It is the amount of heat energy that is required to change 1 kg of a solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure, and its melting point is known as latent heat of fusion. So as we know that melting point is the minimum temperature at which a solid melts into liquid under atmospheric pressure. Similarly, latent heat of fusion is the amount of heat energy that is required to convert, or we can say to melt a solid to liquid, is called the latent heat of fusion. That melting point is known as latent heat of fusion, or we can say the amount of heat energy that is required to melt a solid into liquid. That amount of heat energy is called as latent heat of fusion. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that the amount of heat energy that is required to change only 1 kg of a solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure is its melting point, and that is known as latent heat of fusion. I hope that I am clear to you. Then next is the boiling point. The temperature at which a liquid starts boiling at the atmospheric pressure is known as boiling point. So boiling point is the temperature at which the liquid starts boiling at the atmospheric pressure. It is known as the boiling point. And then comes the latent heat of vaporization. The particles in steam, that is water vapor, have more energy than water at the same temperature. That we all know that the particles have more energy than water. The particles which are present in the steam, or we can say the water vapor, has more energy as compared to water at the same temperature, and this is because the particles in steam or the water vapor have absorbed extra energy in the form of latent heat of vaporization. Why is it so? It is so because the particles of steam, or we can say the water vapor, they have absorbed the extra energy in the form of latent heat of vaporization. Am I clear? That particles in steam, that is the water vapor, or we can just say water vapor, has more energy as compared to water, though they are in the same temperature. But why it is so? It is so because these particles of steam or the water vapor, they have absorbed the extra energy in the form of latent heat of vaporization. Now let's see the effect of pressure on the state. Till here we studied about the effect of temperature. Now we will study about the effect of pressure. So here As we studied this for temperature, here we will study for pressure also. Suppose here we studied that on increasing the temperature, while we want to convert solid into liquid, we will increase the temperature, which leads to increase in kinetic energy. This leads to the continuous movement of the particles along with more faster, or we can say along with faster movement of particles. So there will be more faster movement of particles, plus they will have more space for the movement, and there will be continuous movement of particles. So when we increase the temperature, we will decrease the pressure. That is, if we want to convert solid into liquid through fusion, we will increase the temperature, plus the pressure is decreased. This leads to increase in kinetic energy. So pressure and temperature goes vice versa, or we can say goes opposite to each other. I hope I am clear to you. Now, let's study about boiling and evaporation. What is the difference between both of them? Boiling is a bulk phenomenon. Bulk means more amount of substance if there, we can boil it. Evaporation is a surface phenomenon. Whatever is there on the surface evaporates. Whatever is there on the bottom do not undergo evaporation. Boiling is a bulk phenomenon. Whatever is there inside the container undergoes boiling. Then in boiling, the particles from whole of liquid can change into vapor state. That is, particles from whole of liquid can change into vapor state. If the particle in whole portion, whatever particles are there in the liquid, they undergoes vapor state. But in evaporation, particles from surface only gain energy to convert into vapor state. As I told you that only the surface particles will undergo evaporation. The particles present at the bottom or in between do not undergo vapor state, or cannot be converted into vapor state. But in boiling, the whole liquid will be changed into vapor state. Then there are factors affecting evaporation. First factor is the surface area. There will be an increase in the surface area. So as the rate of evaporation increases, the surface area will also increase. As we know that evaporation is a surface phenomenon. So if the surface area is increased, the rate of evaporation will also increase. Then comes the temperature. So with the increase in rate of evaporation, the temperature will also increase so when we increase the temperature, more number of particles get enough kinetic energy, because that we know, if temperature will increase, kinetic energy will also increase. So the more number of particles will go into the vapor state. Then comes the humidity. Then in this, the rate of evaporation increases, there will be a decrease in humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in air. What is humidity? It is the amount of water vapor that is present in the air, that is present in the atmosphere. The air around us cannot hold more than a definite amount of water vapor at a given temperature. If the amount of water in air is already high, then the rate of evaporation will be decreased. So if humidity is higher, already high in the air, then the rate of evaporation decreases. Then comes the wind speed. So if the rate of evaporation increases, the wind speed also increases. So it is a common observation, as we all know, that clothes dry faster on a windy day, and with the increase in the wind speed, the particles of water vapor move away with the wind. So if the wind speed will be increased, the particles of the water vapor will move away with the wind, and that's why it decreases the amount of water vapor in the surrounding. This leads to the decrease in the water vapor in the surrounding, and that's why the clothes dry up faster. So these are the factors that affects the evaporation. So with this, we complete chapter number 1 of our science textbook. Thank you and have a great day.